So I'm talking about this automation thingy that, well, pretty much all of us heard about. Mostly in the form of Puppet though, or Chef, or CF Engine, or what else. Which is all cool and all fine, that's all running in production. We use it for our stuff and everything, but I'm sorry, I'm a Perl user, so really I want something important. I'm not using this, okay, sorry. So let's start where I am. Yeah, I'm doing more than 15 years of Perl, so I kind of have an expectation to continue working with Perl. So it's not like it's old and not working. No, I recently put that even the other way. It's quality stuff. That's why it's old. And yeah, in this case, I want to automate all the things if possible, like really as much as possible without having to go back all the time. That's what's driving me nuts. You write shell scripts, you write makefiles, whatnot. Works for a year or something, then you change one bit and you need to come back and change all of it. And it's just not maintainable. Even though you can automate all of the things, it's still error prone in the end. So I wanted to change that, and I was thinking of using, well, something like Puppet or so, but I just couldn't. Because it's just going to be more and more and more, and then I will get sucked into this one tool and I have to work with another language, which I want to avoid. As in, I want to keep control over the things that I'm doing. And, well, so far it was always, yeah, you do your thing, either shell script or makefile, then you do it again and again, and at some point you want to automate this because it's just annoying. And in the DevOps world, this is already done. Like basically they're talking, it's everywhere. You can hear the noise, and they aim for automating everything, and so we should be able to do that as well in Perl. So I started searching, and because I haven't heard of anything yet, I thought, well, I probably have to come up with it myself. Ugh. Well, let's see. And actually I found a comparison page on Wikipedia which talks about all those configuration management systems, and there was exactly one in Perl, so obviously I had to check it out. And, well, since there was only one, my expectations were, well, low, to be careful not to be, well, too much annoyed than if it's nothing nice, but it's actually not that bad. So it does all the things that I immediately need. So it runs locally, of course. Then I can run it over SSH with passwords, with public keys. One thing I need to put as well is that it also works with sudo, locally, remotely. So it's already a nice indication that you can do powerful things. And then on the target host, the only thing you need is Perl, and that's pretty much a given still. And I hope it will. Then it has support for modules. So this is basically the thing where you initially wrote a shell script that does one thing and does it well, and then it starts breaking. Now you can move it to a module and reuse it everywhere. So you can actually make it more generic and apply it in more cases, so it becomes more solid and stable. Then this thing also has quite well documentation and examples. It's probably a bit behind Puppet and the other big players, this is a rather small project. But it has an active community and a very responsive maintainer, which is an awesome experience. If you start looking into something, you try it on your operating system, something doesn't work. Okay, you figure out what to fix. You create a branch and send a pull request, and just not even a day later you get already the merge. So that's pretty cool. And I had a handful of patches that got merged upstream, so that's also something that motivates me to use a tool, because if upstream sucks, how can you ever work with that? And since it's using Perl, it works on a lot of platforms. That's also something that even the Java world cannot really deliver, in my opinion. And it has configuration file templates, which is, yeah, also quite nice. Then you can scale it up, and different ways of setting it up. Their example is using Gearman, or they also have one with Modulicious, where they set up basically endpoints, which then communicate the changes down further. So if you want to create big scale setups, you also can do that. Yeah, and then like if you work with or the people who work with Puppet most of the time use the deployment tools for development and production. So to make development like production, which is unfortunately never really the case, but anyways they try, and that's pretty good at that. And one thing that I then discovered in the end is that it comes with virtualization support, which got me thinking. So I want to set up my main server again. I don't have to order a actual new box. No, I can just do it in a virtual machine. If the setup works, I'm going to deploy it live. Otherwise, I just start from scratch. And I found that quite a nice idea. If that's all not enough, then you can basically integrate the whole cpan into it, because it's Perl. So, first thing that I pretty much always do, I get a new machine, set it up, create my SSH key, and then, well, I also want to access that box from remotely. So I install my usual bunch of keys there, but just the one that I currently use, or then go for all other keys that are also still missing, because I have a bunch of keys, because different local machines using different local keys. So we get to an example where I basically just have a collection of keys, which are then put in a so-called task, where it basically just appends if there is no such line already in the authorized key file. It's pretty much self-descriptive, which is also something that I'm looking for. And then you run this is a universal task, and you can run it anywhere. You can run it locally, remote, and the next slide I'm doing that. Running it on the new OS X box that I got, with first time of course with username and password, because there is no SSH key yet to use, and then just specify the host and the command. Another thing that I did, because my daughter is playing downstairs with my laptop most of the time, and I'm sitting upstairs, so I have to actually go 2 stories. And well, I want to see what she's doing, what she's complaining about, what isn't working, what is working. I have no clue if I'm upstairs, so because I don't want to run up and down, I look how I can do screenshots. And in the end, it turns out OS X has a so-called screen capture command, and anything that you have accessible from command line, you can just wrap with regs and make it remotely work. And it's fun, because that pretty much worked immediately, and I could yell down, "Hey, you need to do this!" Problem solved, automated away. Yeah, and this is how the execution looks like. So basically just connect, run the command, and then output the stuff that you said. Yeah. Well, this is, I have to be honest, I basically just started, so my first experience there is from a few weeks ago, or a month or 2 by now. But anyways, for me it's just the beginning. And there are more serious things that I need to do, like all the nice features I talked about, I still need to use more of them. Like I want to play with virtualization. Yeah, when I set up my own machines, I want to switch everything basically to be automated. Because I know what to do, but now I need to get it out of my head into an automation system. And in fact, I've started hacking on QEMU support, because that's basically the emulator that I'm using, and works quite well actually. Maybe not the fastest if it doesn't have kernel support, but anyway.
Sorry, what's QEMU?
QEMU is an emulator basically, and it emulates 32 different platforms or something. It's written by Fabrice Bellard, if that name rings a bell. Okay. Anyways, brilliant guy. Okay. And it's one of the challenges there is its flexibility. It's so powerful that you can specify boot from network, boot from this, boot from anything. It even supports legacy things that you don't find in current hardware anymore. So it's the flexibility there is sort of conceptually killing me because I don't know how to integrate all the massive feature set into Rex. But anyways, I started simple. And yeah, so I have the basics working. So I can get a listing of the virtual machines. And I also had to define this whole virtual machine thing basically, because if you use VirtualBox, for example, you get a definition of what is a virtual machine. Whereas if you're using QEMU, you have a command line tool and you, well, have everything flying around somewhere, but there is no predefined structure, so I also had to come up with something for that. But the basics are working. So I get the listing, I can start instances, I can stop them. Yeah, but there's more that I have to do, like the mentioned configuration options. Then this one will be fun, testing all of this on Windows. I'm sure there are people, but I'm not one of them. And of course fixing what doesn't work yet. And if you have any wishes, so far I pretty much have the opinion that anything is possible there, so if you can think of something, let me know. Yeah. Yes?
Does it have a central control? Like, from what I'm seeing from your explanations, Rex is very good to connecting to machines and performing tasks via Perl, which is wonderful. I'm wondering if Rex can allocate a database or something to have all the groups, servers groups together, run specific tasks on specific groups, schedule tasks, vice versa.
Yes,
management.
Yeah.
Crap. I was thinking of adding one of those examples because I actually have one where I build groups. And this is also where DBI support comes in handy, because you can just query your database for almost. Or another thing that I did to look up hosts within the company is using DNS, where I basically just did it, host minus XL, where you get the listing of all domains. Yeah. So you can definitely do something like this, and in that sense I think Rex is the central management instance.
Does it have a web interface of some sort?
No.
I thought he was working on something with Mojo.
He's using Mojo for the endpoint, HTTP endpoint setup, where you can have multiple instances. But there is a ticket in the, or an issue or whatever in the wiki there, where he's talking about the design of the next major version, so version 2. And yeah, so also if you have conceptual issues with the whole thing, I would really recommend bringing it up there so he can take it into account. And well, if nothing annoys me too much, I probably will stay on that project because it's just too interesting. So yeah, you can find it on CPAN. As it's on the main rexify.org, where you can find lots of documentation, examples, and even more. Then the IRC channel is hosted on Freenode. Yeah, the GitHub URL from upstream development. My GitHub URL, because that's where I developed the QMO branch. And that's pretty much it already, for now. Because, as I said, if nothing throws me off, I'll keep working on it. And yeah, check it out. Since it's the only one in Perl, spread the word and use Perl. Thank you.
What kind of plans are there for version 2 already? Did you reveal like ideas that he had in mind?
Yeah, moves, for example, or roles at least, and like technical improvements there. Also, web interface was mentioned there. Well, that's what I can recall. And I also added already. Well, maybe not having a too big dependency chain because as much as I like cpan, big dependency chains suck.
Or Cardin?
What?
Cardin. Cardin to bundle dependencies?
Maybe I misunderstood.
Carton. C-A-R-T-O-N. See, that's something for you to look up.
Obviously.
Yeah, so you include the code of the dependency.
Yeah, it's like a bundler where you just specify, well, this project has these modules and these variables. It downloads all of it, sets it up as a one bundle, and then you have all of it put together.
Sort of like Pinto?
Local Pinto, like
okay.
in directory Pinto in a way.
Okay, good.
So this is, sorry, I'm not very
Yeah,
familiar with
fine.
DevOps, so basic question. This is basically an automation framework, right?
Yeah.
So what problems does this solve that existing automation frameworks don't solve apart from being in Perl, which is cool already, but just curious. Like, can you compare it with some existing products?
I have no clue how other systems look like with regards to virtualization. So insofar this was well, not a killer feature, but a very nice feature that I can call that route. But other than that, I don't know yet.
Conceptual or like, you know, differences with?
Well, yeah, one difference would be that the default mode of operation is that you have a central host that talks to others, so you don't have lots of daemons that are then talking to a server.
Sure.
So if you need to propagate a new change to endpoints, you need to proactively execute a command, manually maybe, and run the update configuration on all the endnodes. Endnodes won't check with master whether there are
Yes.
updates, and they won't pull it.
Yeah.
It's like in contrast with Puppet, for example.
Yes.
So it's more like Chef. You go to the server.
So the motivation of the project was to write something in Perl, or was there something else to start the project?
Oh, you mean the initial motivation?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part
I
of
should ask the should ask the original author. Yeah.
I mean, this is part of answering his question, like, you know, what makes this one different than other existing configuration management systems in general. But from your own point of view, it's virtualization that makes it really different.
That's more like a personal bit, but I looked at that comparison page. I just saw Perl. Okay, check it out. Sorry, maybe I should do my homework there. Yeah, and if I talk the next time about it, then I will be prepared for that.
Fair enough.
So one big difference that can happen if they actually do it correctly in version 2 is that you could use all of cpan without having it installed remotely.
Oh, cool. So you
And
leverage
there's-
cpan on your local machine
Yes.
and execute that code on a remote machine
Yes,
that might not
because we
have.
already have modules that do that. So if they actually use it and inline it into the project, they could actually, you could write local code, not in a string, but actual code. If you've ever used Chef, you can actually execute arbitrary strings and you go like, oh, this is a bunch of Ruby code, just copy it over there, run it. But you could actually write your own locally compiled, syntactically correct code, which then actually gets bundled and sent and run locally over there without being installed. It actually passes on the wire to an interpreter in live. It's called Object Remote. And if they use it, that means they can use all of cpan without having dependencies over the remote server, which is very interesting.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah. With Chef and with Puppet, you just have to copy tons of code over all the time. That's going to be a big difference. I worked at a company where I couldn't install remote, I couldn't install any code remotely. So I had Perl, but that's it. I can use that.
What supported versions of Perl?
5.8.
5.8 and above?
From, if it's recent version of Mojo, I think it's 5.10.
It doesn't use Mojo.
We said for the HTTP.
Yeah, but that's a special thing. That's not the default mode.
Oh.